Welcome back to This is VANCOLOUR. My name is Amir. Now, last month, Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim, speaking at the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade, said that he wants to bring swagger back to the city. I'm not sure if that means that the city will pop its collar and smell like Drakkar Noir, but here with his ideas is one of the best comics in BC. His album, Horsepower, won a Juno Award for Best Comedy Album, while his cartoons have been published in the New Yorker magazine. He is Jacob Samuel. Jacob, a pleasure to see you.
Oh, pleasure to see you too. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. So we're getting this talk from the mayor. He wants to bring swagger back to the city of Vancouver.
I envision a Vancouver in the not so distant future that is super exciting again. A Vancouver with a renewed swagger.
How do we get our swagger back in Vancouver?
Now, look, I'm no expert in swagger. My wife will tell you that. But maybe misplaced confidence. But I will look. Here's my question: is when did Vancouver have swagger? Right? Ever? Like, point to me, educate me on when this city had swagger in the past.
I have an era in my lifetime that I think we had swagger.
Yeah, Expo
2010 Olympics.
2010 Olympics.
We had so much swagger.
Yeah, see, it's not. I don't think so. No. Everyone points to that. It's okay. It's the Winter Olympics. Like, first of all, 20 years before then, Calgary had the Winter Olympics. Sure. I don't think they're 20 years ahead in terms of swagger compared to Vancouver. But like, look at who has the Winter Olympics, right? It's like places like Lillehammer, Salt Lake City, Sarajevo, right? It's not the Summer Olympics.
But out of all those Winter Olympics, we had the most swagger.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's not saying a lot, It's like, yeah, okay, we're a slightly more exciting Salt Lake City. I mean, I don't know where we get our swagger back. Let's think.
You're really dumping on the city of Vancouver.
I love Vancouver, okay? But we have to be, if Vancouver wants to attain swagger, it needs to be realistic about where it is.
Okay.
And not delusional.
So where are we?
Okay.
You're the expert.
Let me phrase
You're the swagger expert.
Okay, when I perform here and I mention Toronto on stage, I talk about Toronto a bit. I'm originally from there. People boo.
Yes.
And jeer.
That was my instinct. I had to hold back, actually. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your restraint. When I mention Vancouver in Toronto, silence.
Oh.
Because no one cares. It's utter indifference. And that's what it's like in most of North America.
That's why we boo, though.
Yeah, but because I didn't grow up here, and people need to realize what Vancouver is to the rest of Canada is like Whistler, and a place that's on where like you watch Hockey Night in Canada, and then there's a game on later where it's still light out. Like it's like this weird after place.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
sorry. I mean, I love Vancouver, but also like
So what do we need? What do we need to be cool and to have swagger? Because clearly you're high on
sense of
Toronto.
humor about ourselves, because people do not like this when I say this at all, and they tell me to go back to Toronto. And then I say, well, people who live in world-class cities with swagger have a sense of humor about it. They can take a joke.
Right.
So first of all,
again, restraint from my part, because I wanted to say that, but I didn't say it.
Yeah. Let me also say, I want to say a message to Mayor Sim as well, like please. Directly.
Yeah.
Which is like, he's known for having a business, right, where he just made mediocre Montreal bagels. Like he imported, right, a bagel that's famous from another city. Like that's not a swaggerific thing to do.
Okay.
Right? That's pretty mundane.
Wow, now you're just firing shots at the mayor. But going back to the main topic at hand. Okay, we need a sense of humor about ourselves. What else does Vancouver need to have swagger?
Well, first of all, look at any of these like big happening cities you like to visit in North America. They have thriving art scenes. Like people actually care a lot and have a lot of pride in the comedy and music scenes of those cities, which people in Vancouver are a bit indifferent to, I think.
Okay.
Right? I think a vision of the city as like a city where things happen. Look, Vancouver is a great place to live. When people visit, I have no idea what they should do. Like, I don't know what people should do when they visit. That's a problem here.
But you could do some basic research and see the nice.
You go to the aquarium, you can walk on the seawall, have sushi. What's left?
There you go.
Like that's
a good day.
It's not like you're visiting other New York City or Chicago or LA or Toronto, Montreal. Like there's more stuff to do.
I will say that while we do have some interesting museums and places to visit, also our museum game not up to snuff to some of these other.
Yeah,
cities.
Our best museum is the Museum of Anthropology, which is a subject most people don't want to take. People don't want to go to the Museum
I was
of
going to say that it's a
Anthropology.
little far out that you have to go to UBC to
It's
go.
far out for what it is. It's
Yeah.
that's a lot of distance to cover for anthropology.
Okay, so we need a sense of humor. We need museums. What else do we need?
I think we need a vision of the city that people can buy into, that young people can buy. Like,
Montreal bagels, obviously.
no, yeah, we need our own type of bread.
Okay.
First of all,
Yeah.
we know, like, people need to feel like there's a vision of what Vancouver is becoming and going to be, that they can say, yeah, I want to live. I'm proud to be a Vancouverite, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen in this city in the next few decades. I'm going to be part of that, because everyone is wondering, like, how am I going to stay here? And what's my role in this city, right? Like, I'm just being pushed out.
I feel like that is the millennial vision of this city, is constantly trying to figure out how to live a life here.
I think Vancouver is struggling between a vision of the city of baby boomers trying to hold on to what they think the city was,
Okay,
and trying to preserve that as long as possible, but it's pushing all the young people out, and we need a new vision for this city.
So now we're firing shots at baby boomers, who I think are a key demographic for Czech right now.
Oh yeah. You need to change.
We're just alienating everyone from
No,
Ken
but
Sim to the baby
Maybe
boomers.
have a conversation with millennials and Gen Z about, like, how they're feeling about things. How about that?
Okay, do you have any solutions to actually achieve these three things? A sense of humor, art spaces, and then baby boomers letting go.
Yes, you can
their
read my
expensive real
20-point
estate.
plan. I don't have a concrete solution, but I think that generally we need to make space.
Okay.
Like, that's what's lacking in Vancouver, is space. Like, we can't just, sit back, and I think we have to look at the boring bureaucratic stuff, our bylaws, our liquor laws. How do we make this city a more exciting place? And how do we make space for the arts and space for people? Like, I know everyone always talks about housing policy. That is a major issue here.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, we need a vision of the city in which we make space for cool things to happen and for people to live.
So jokes aside, you are squarely putting this on the mayor's desk. You think it is a municipal issue, even though I would argue a lot of municipalities in Metro Vancouver suffer from this, and maybe even BC, to be honest.
I think it's municipal and provincial. Like, I think we need the province to take a bigger role in a lot of these issues as well, and to step in where municipalities are falling short.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because also, like, why do we have these archaic liquor laws in BC? Why has no one looked at this? Like, why are they so much more restrictive than in Ontario? Because I know there are obviously concerns about liquor and alcohol, but quite frankly, the sale of alcohol is what fuels most art and entertainment in the world.
No, it's very true.
Right?
Jacob, you've given me a lot of food for thought that I'm going to take to some of these municipal politicians. I promise you that. But for now, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate all your gripes.
And I hope you heard my message, Mayor Bagel.
Folks, he's won a Juno Award for his jokes. One of my favorites. He is Jacob Samuel. Now, after some business, can anyone do comedy? Well, we're going to ask an accounting student. Boring, I know, but unintentionally, he is now one of Canada's hottest comics, giving hope to CPAs everywhere. Ola Dada is here. Up next.